Okay, this is an update on the outhouse and the Sunmar composting toilet. So, we've been working on this, cleaning it up. There were some, cobwebs and stuff. And I'm going to show you how the toilet works. Okay. This is a little awkward. Okay. Inside of the outhouse, I still have to do a little bit more painting. We cleaned the windows, and you can see the lake through the window over here. And there's a paper towel dispenser, Kleenex. This is garbage. It's the boxes that the towels come in. I'm probably going to change this over for a roll of paper towels because it takes up less space. Sink. Now, there are two reservoirs over there. You can see a big blue one. That's a water reservoir. And then there's a smaller one, the little turquoise one there. It's also a water reservoir. But there's not a lot of head pressure here. We have to fix that. So the hose goes along the ground, comes here. So a little bit of water comes out, but not a ton. So soap and water, stuff that's kept under here. That is the microbe mix, and that is a cleaner, but it also is the composting accelerator. The toilet paper's on the bottom shelf. And this is the toilet. I'll get to that in a second. Okay. So this is like a regular toilet. I am really close to it, so it's kind of hard to get it in. Okay. This is all one piece. It comes in one piece. It's the finishing drawer on the bottom, right there. The vent goes up through the ceiling, and it ends about 3.5 feet above the peak of the roof. And that is what evaporates the liquid. So, it's a regular toilet. This black thing is an inner bowl, and it directs the waste into the drum. And the drum is basically the composter. So, you go to the bathroom like any regular toilet. Paper goes in there, urine and poop goes in there as well. And then when you're done, you just wipe like normal. Where's the toilet paper? And this is the crank. Now, the crank is on the front. It's not on the side, so it doesn't take up any space. And you just crank this, pull this out, and crank it. And you can see the drum turn. And that's it. That's the composter. Now there's a rod. Probably can't see it. Right there, that metal rod goes all the way to the back. There are indentations on the drum at the front and the back. There's a direct connection between the gear on the end of the crank and the drum at the back. So there's no belt that can break. Put that in when you're done. And that's it. That's all there is to it. When you want to start emptying it, when it starts to get full, you crank it backwards like this. But you can't. You can't accidentally dump anything into the finishing drawer because there's a lock on the bottom, that little button. I'll show you that in a second. So what you do is you crank it clockwise. The drum turns counterclockwise, and it's hinged on the right. So the door closes right about there, and it opens again when it comes back to the top. When you want to put something in the finishing drawer, which is hang on, here, okay, you crank it counterclockwise. But you can't do that unless you unlock it by pushing this button. Or cooling. Come on. Okay, it's not going to do anything. Of course it's not. Why would it? Okay, hang on. There we go. Okay. I apologize, it was stuck. Hasn't been used much. And then you crank it this way. And then what happens is the finishing door, the trap door stays open and it deposits stuff into the bin. But I'm not going to do that right now because it's already got some stuff in it. I'm just going to turn it back, lock it, and put it like that. The finishing door, as you can see, already has some things in it. A little bit of debris, a little bit of bulking material. Now this comes with a rake. I didn't bring it with me, but there's a rake, and what you can do is you can rake the stuff in the drawer and make it more level, and it dries out. And when it's dry, you just take the drawer out and put it on the ground. There's no bags, there's no garbage, there's no taking it to the dump, there's no using municipal garbage, because it is actually a composter. Now, there are other brands you can buy that don't actually compost the waste. They dry it, I guess, but you have to empty them into a garbage bag, and then you have to take them to the dump, or you have to put them out with your municipal garbage. It's not compost. This quite literally can just be taken outside and dumped on the ground. There's no waste, there's no plastic bags, there's nothing. It's actual compost. You can buy a separate composter, which costs hundreds of dollars, which you can put the waste in with the other brands, and then leave it for about 3 months untouched. And when, it's a better view, and then when it's done, it's compost. But some are, I just think it's genius. I do, because what they did was they just built the toilet around the composter. They built it around the composter. So it's done. It's finished. So here is one thing. The drum, it has air vents in it, and it has a grate at the bottom for excess fluid to drain out. And this little hump, there's a hump that goes from left to right across here that creates what is called an evaporation chamber back here, and it stops liquid from coming in contact with the drum or the finishing drawer. And there's a flexible hose that you can't see, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Comes out of here, goes out through the wall, and we have a sand pit behind where it empties. And so what happens is, if the evaporation chamber gets too full of liquid, before it can recontaminate the drum, which it can never do, can never get that high, because where the drain is set, it's set below that level, way below that level. And it's also set below the level of the hump that goes across from left to right. And it drains out and into the sand pit. So there's literally nothing that you have to do. This is the perfect system. And by the way, this is non-electric. So for us, being off-grid up here, that's the Larch Island. That's the Larch Island. It's perfect for up here. And so far, there haven't been any issues at all with the evaporation chamber or anything else. So, and by the way, it doesn't smell at all. And we've been up here for a week now using this, and there's no smell. It's incredible, frankly. I'm really glad we got it. So I'm going to go and just show you the hose now. And then that'll be that. Yellow Argo. Okay. Here's the hose. Comes out of the wall. It's clear, flexible. And what we did was, I wanted to be able to check to make sure it wasn't plugged. because the worst thing that can happen would be if it got clogged or plugged, or if you had, let's just say, a Separatt. That's a kind of toilet where the urine is separated and it goes outside, similar to this. If you don't bury the end of the hose, a mouse could crawl in there or dirt could get in and clog it. So we put plastic pipe in the ground, and then we put the flexible hose, which my husband cut and put an elbow joint. And so we can pull this out anytime and just check to make sure it's not plugged. And I'm just doing this one-handed, but as you can see, you just pull this out until you see the bottom and make sure that it's not plugged or blocked. And that's it. I think actually the Sunmar was going to make 2 improvements to the system. They would include a plastic pipe like this, so you can bury the end without worrying about it getting plugged, and it's full of sand. And this is the ventilation. This is the pipe that comes out through the ceiling. And this is what evaporates the liquids in the evaporation chamber. There is a plastic cap on top that my husband put on there to keep bugs out. What comes with the Sunmar is just that white piece you can see in between, and it's just open. So, you know, flies can get in, bugs can get in. So he put this black piece on top with a cap on it and 3 actually. You can see those 3 metal clamps, and the kind of stuff you put under the screen window on it there to keep bugs out. What Sunmar could do and should do, I think my hand's over the mic, is make a cap that sits over the end and has kind of a rubber gasket on the inside that clamps to the top of the pipe that lets air out and also keeps bugs from getting in. And other than that, that's how that works. This is pretty, and frankly, you know what? We've been using this now for a couple months now. There has been no liquid coming out of that hose. So the liquid is used by the bulking material to help in composting. So again, some garbage, this is plastic bags. I should show you if the shed is open. I don't think, yes it is. Oh good, this is great. Okay, I'll show you all. Okay. The rake that comes with it is right there. And that's for raking the stuff in the finishing drawer. And this is called Compost Sure. And this is the bulking material. Okay. And it also comes with a stool, but we replaced the stool with the one that you saw in there because the stool that it comes with is just got 2 legs. And I should have shown you that. The stool attaches to that metal bracket at the front. And because this used to be an actual outhouse, there's not a ton of room. So the stool was getting hit by the door. And so I had to take the stool off and store it somewhere, but because it had 2 legs, it was kind of useless. So I replaced it with this wooden one, which we use. You just drag this in front. And there you go. Also forgot to show you one other thing. This is where we keep the bulking material. In this garbage can right there. Needs filling up. Certain people who use this, give me a second. Don't leave the scoop so others can get at it easily, but that's the stuff. And it's, I think it's corn husk and other things. It looks like peat moss, but it really isn't. And you should actually use what they recommend, because if you don't, you could end up with a real mess that can actually clog the grate at the bottom, and it can become really hard. So I mean, they do this is made for the toilet, so it's what you should use. This garbage can, by the way, is by Simple Human, and it's only about 10 inches wide. It fits here perfectly. And again, if there was a crank on the side here, it wouldn't fit. And that's it. awesome. I love it. I mean, I used to hate the outhouse before because it was damp and nasty, but this is actually almost no different than being at home. So I'm gonna lock up because we're going home now. And that's that. Okay. Hardly see any animals anymore, but that's it for now, for the toilet anyway.